Well, it looks like it's that time again. Time to pack the bike for another motorcycle adventure. 6 members of the Golden Circle Harley Owners Group, Gary Jones, Ryan Mitchell, Jimmy Craig, Skip and Donna Griffin, and Jim Thacker, will be traveling to East Tennessee to the Smoky Mountains. We'll be attending the 2021 Great Smoky Mountain HOG Rally in Maryville, Tennessee. None of us could turn down the opportunity to ride a motorcycle in the beautiful Smoky Mountains. The orange line represents the route we'll be traveling today. I'll leave Milan to I-40. I'll travel I-40 to Highway 641, where I'll meet Gary, Skip, and Donna. We'll leave there as a group on I-40 until we reach Highway 840. We'll travel on 840 to Highway 24, and once on 24, we'll briefly drop down into North Carolina and then pick up Highway 75 into Maryville, Tennessee. Today's ride will be 367 miles with 6 hours of saddle time. Looks like a beautiful morning this morning, about 63 degrees, getting ready to meet some friends of mine, Scott and Donna Griffin and Gary Jones. We're going to meet at a convenience store about 45 minutes from here, and then we'll head on up to Maryville, Tennessee to the Smoky Mountains for a HOG Rally. Well, today should be about a 6-hour ride. Shouldn't be too bad. Should get there, I'm guessing, around 3:30, 4 o'clock this afternoon. Give us time to get registered. We got to Maryville around 3 p.m. where we went to the Airport Hilton in Alcoa, Knoxville to register for the event. From the airport, we traveled to the Fairfield Inn where we checked into our hotel. Ryan and Jimmy joined us later in the evening to have dinner at the Longhorn Steakhouse in Maryville. After dinner, we rode to the Smoky Mountain Harley-Davidson dealer to the opening ceremony where a Van Halen cover band performed. We stayed for a while and called it an early night as most of us were worn out from the day's ride. To be faded, to telling all. It was a beautiful morning. One of our favorite things to do in the mornings is to meet at our bikes, drink some coffee, and talk about the ride to come. Won't forget everybody while we're all in one piece.
Oh, we're all in one piece.
That's not a good sound. Don't say that. No, that's
before.
bad.
Hey, don't do it before and after.
No,
You know, I'm glad we got you out of the house finally to go riding because I know you never ride. Any words of wisdom from anybody?
Keep it
Be safe.
between the ditches.
Yes. Shiny side up, right? Rubber side down.
Rubber side down. The center line.
Today we'll ride from Maryville into the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. We'll have the opportunity to ride the tail of the dragon. We'll make many planned stops along our way to get our rally poker chip cards stamped at various vendors. We'll have a lunch stop in Dillsboro, North Carolina, and then ride some very twisty roads as we head back to the Smoky Mountain Harley-Davidson dealership in Maryville for the evening festivities. Today our ride will be over 250 miles with 6 hours of saddle time. We left our hotel around 8:30 a.m. As we left and headed toward the mountains, you could see in the distance what the Smoky Mountains are famous for. Early morning fog that clings to the mountains until the sun has a chance to burn it off. We rode to the Foothills Parkway, which took us to the famous Tail of the Dragon. We all had a great time riding the Tail of the Dragon. It was early enough that the traffic was light. There is really no time to enjoy the scenery while riding the Dragon, as you must maintain full concentration riding all the twisting roads. The Tail of the Dragon is on Highway 129 and is America's #1 motorcycle and sports car road. It has no intersecting roads or driveways to hinder your travel and is illegal for trucks with trailers to operate. The Tail of the Dragon is an 11-mile stretch of highway having 318 curves, which makes it one of the most challenging and exciting motorcycle rides anywhere. As you can see, once you leave one curve, you quickly enter another. At the end of the Dragon is a location called Deal's Gap, where there is a hotel and general store. It is also one of our checkpoints for the Tennessee Harley-Davidson 50 Rides One Nation Challenge. There is a makeshift shrine in a tree consisting of motorcycle parts lost on the Dragon, which was started by some Harley-Davidson riders in the 1980s. We left Deal's Gap and traveled on Highway 28, known as Hellbender. We rode for about 20 minutes to Fontana Lake Scenic Overlook in North Carolina for another Harley-Davidson 50 Rides One Nation Challenge checkpoint. We then rode about an hour on some very scenic highways to Bryson City Harley-Davidson dealership in North Carolina to get our poker run card stamped. It was a nice small town with a population of 1,700. Our next stop was Dillsboro, North Carolina to eat lunch. Dillsboro is a small town of 213 people nestled in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. We ate lunch at the Haywood Smokehouse. The restaurant's food and atmosphere were great. If you're ever in Dillsboro, I highly recommend this restaurant. We then got back on the road, traveled on the Blue Ridge Parkway, Newfound Gap Highway, and Little River Gorge Road for several hours. We stopped at several lookout points to take pictures of the mountains and valleys. These highways took us through several various length tunnels. While traveling through the tunnels was an enjoyable experience, at the same time it was a little daunting. As you entered the tunnels from the bright sunlit areas to immediate darkness, there was no time for your eyes to adjust to the dark. Therefore, you were basically riding blind for the first few seconds at 55 miles an hour. All you could do was pray that there was nothing in the road or any sharp turns when entering the tunnels. Our next stop was at Cades Cove Cellars Winery in Townsend, Tennessee to get our poker cards stamped.
It's not a U-turn if you make two lefts at the same time.
I like that philosophy. Townsend has a population of 358. I couldn't pass up the opportunity to capture on video evidence of a bunch of bikers coming out of a winery. We then finished up the day by traveling on several scenic highways back to the Smoky Mountain Harley-Davidson dealership in Maryville. While at the dealership, we met up with Jim Thacker. Jim had traveled from Greensburg, Indiana to meet us at the rally. We stayed at the dealership for a while, then traveled back to the Black Horse Brewery in Alcoa to eat dinner. It was a nice restaurant and had good food to eat. The brewery had a nice outdoor area to eat that, in hindsight, would have been nice to take advantage of. After dinner, we traveled back to our hotel. Today we'll ride from Maryville to another poker run stop location, and then to Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. From there we'll ride the Devil's Triangle, and then to the Smoky Mountain Harley-Davidson dealership in Sevierville, Tennessee, where we'll eat lunch. From lunch we'll ride to another checkpoint at Bush Beans, and then to dinner at Hooters located in Alcoa, Tennessee. Today's ride will be over 200 miles with 6 hours of saddle time. It was another beautiful morning. We picked up Ryan and Jim at their hotel. Today our plan was to get as many poker run stops as possible while riding some scenic highways. It started out this morning a little foggier than it did yesterday, but still a very nice morning to ride to start the day. We made it to our first poker run stop to get our cards stamped. This store was in the middle of nowhere, but gave us the opportunity to stretch our legs and get a little more visiting in.
Here you
Got my
are.
coffee.
Our next stop was the historic Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. This was Tennessee's first maximum security prison, holding the state's most violent murderers, robbers, and rapists for over 100 years. With some of the sentences of 200 years or more, most of the men who walked through its gates would never be walking out. The prison opened in 1896 and closed in 1972. One of the most well-known prisoners was James Earl Ray, the convicted assassin of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He escaped from the prison once and was recaptured 58 hours later. The prison closed in 2009 and has been converted to a museum, restaurant, and distillery. There are various tours offered at the prison, one being their paranormal tour. This tour consists of an overnight stay in the prison where you can investigate on your own with a flashlight from 9 p.m. until 4 a.m., which costs $1,500 per person. I have no idea why anyone would be interested in doing that. We left the prison and rode the Devil's Triangle. It was a less of an intense ride than the Dragon, but still had lots of nice twisting roads. Several of us enjoyed this road more than the Dragon, as it was less intense. I did scrape my floorboards twice while riding the Dragon's Triangle. Scraping a floorboard on your bike happens when your lean angle is severe enough that your motorcycle contacts the road. This is what it looks and sounds like. We wound up at the Smoky Mountain Harley-Davidson dealership in Sevierville, which was one of our poker run stop locations. Sevierville has a population of 17,000 people. We then walked to the Chop House located behind the dealership to have lunch. The Chop House was a very nice restaurant, and we all enjoyed a great lunch and each other's company. We then rode to a couple of more checkpoints. One of our checkpoints was Bush Beans Visitor Center and Manufacturing Facility located in Chestnut Hill, Tennessee at the foot of the Smoky Mountains. It is a family-owned business which opened in 1908. We rode to our last checkpoint of the day, located at the Rocky Top Harley-Davidson dealership in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Jimmy led us out of the area on a less traveled road, where we headed to eat dinner at Hooters in Alcoa, Tennessee. My son Brandon and his wife Christine live in Knoxville and were able to join us for dinner. We had a great time visiting, and it was nice to introduce family to friends. Christine and Donna were good sports eating with us at Hooters. The food was good and the conversation better. We wound up back at our hotel around 9 p.m.
There's no place to run and no gasoline.
It was a bit cooler this morning, with slight overcast, but still a very nice day in the 60s. We had our morning coffee and our routine visit at the bikes.
So any words of advice for today? Jimmy?
It's a beautiful morning.
It is, isn't it wonderful?
Keep both wheels down again today.
That's true.
And between the ditches.
In between the ditches.
We left our hotel around 8 to pick up Ryan and Jimmy at their hotel. This provided us yet another opportunity to visit and get ready for the day. Today our plan was to stop at multiple poker runs to finish our booklet so we could turn it in for a chance to win $500. As it turned out, no one in our group won, but no one cared as it allowed us to see the Smoky Mountains and surrounding countryside. We rode and saw some beautiful country. We stopped at the Dragon Depot located in Maryville, Tennessee. It was one of our poker run stops. It is a neat little resort of 110 acres that offers 11 rooms, 2 restaurants, live music, and camping. It mainly caters to motorcyclists, but anyone is welcome. We couldn't pass up the opportunity to get our pictures at the Metal Dragon.
Here for
We then traveled to US 129 Dragon Harley-Davidson dealership for a poker run stop located in Tallahassee, Tennessee. It was not open when we arrived, so we went back later in the day. Another stop and poker run location was at the Cherahila Skyway Harley-Davidson Smoky Mountain Outpost, located in Tellico Plains, Tennessee. After we completed getting all our stamps for a poker run booklet, Jim Thacker went out on his own to ride the Dragon, since he missed it on the first day of riding. I departed our group in the early afternoon to get cleaned up and ready to go to dinner and a concert with my son Brandon and his wife Christine. The rest of the group went to the Wheels Through Time Museum, which is a motorcycle museum located off the Blue Ridge Parkway in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. The museum is home to the world's premier collection of rare American motorcycles, memorabilia, and a distinct array of unique one-off American automobiles. The museum houses 350 rare machines. It opened in 2002 and is housed in a 38,000 square foot facility. My son Brandon picked me up at the hotel and we met Christine and Knoxville at their favorite place to eat, Suttrie's High Gravity Tavern, where we ate some spicy ramen noodles for dinner. We then walked to Knoxville's Grand Entertainment Palace to watch a Pink Floyd concert. The Grand Entertainment Palace is in downtown Knoxville. It first opened its doors in 1928 as a movie theater, but is now a world-class performing arts center. It is listed on the National Register of Historic Places and is the official state theater of Tennessee.
Singing, this'll be the day that I die.
We watched the band called Black Jacket Symphony, which performed the entire album of The Wall by Pink Floyd. They finished up the concert with various other Pink Floyd hits. They did an excellent job and it brought back lots of memories of the 70s, some that I can even remember. It was a great ending to a fantastic week. Gary and I left the hotel 7 a.m. in the morning. Others in our group had various plans for this day. Some were staying for the last day of the rally, while others were heading off to see friends. Gary and I stopped off to top off our gas tanks in Maryville, and we bombed home on I-40 the entire way. It was about a 5-hour ride home. It was early enough that I-40 was not busy through Knoxville, and we made good time. It was a bit cool most of the day, with a little rain towards the end of the ride. Gary and I had over 1,300 miles on our bikes in the 5 days of the rally, while others in our group had more. Looking back at this event, I don't know how it could have been any better. The weather and temperatures were great. I got to spend time riding a motorcycle in the Smoky Mountains and surrounding areas with good friends, spend time with my family, and finish it off with a Pink Floyd concert. Who could have asked for anything more? I am truly blessed. I want to thank my friends for putting up with me videoing our adventures. And as always, I want to thank my wife for her support of this hobby of mine, and to thank God for watching over all of us during this event and keeping us safe.